Hey everyone, it's Sarah from Sarah Reads, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the books that I read in 2018. I was in a bit of a audiobook and ebook mood at the beginning of 2018, so again, I won't be holding up any books for this video, predominantly because I was slugging through a 1100 page novel, and so I didn't read a whole lot of physical books until like March. Or late February, when things started to pick up for me. So if that does bother you, I'm sorry, but you just get to be graced with my face for this video and no book covers. The first book that I'm going to be talking about is called The ABC Murders by Agatha Christie. I listened to the audiobook, which is narrated by Hugh Fraser. I'd give this about 3.5 stars, and that's like a huge maybe in parentheses. Maybe like a 3.25 stars. I'm kind of, it's more than a 3 for me, but it's not a 4. Definitely not a 4. This follows Hercule Poirot, who is famous for his series that includes Murder on the Orient Express. I read Murder on the Orient Express back in November, and it was pretty okay for me until the ending, when it became really solid, and the ending kind of, sold the story for me. This one does have a congruent mystery. It follows a serial killer who is taunting Hercule Poirot by killing off people in alphabetical order, hence why it's called The ABC Murders. It's not a bad novel, and the audiobook is quite fun to listen to. It's fast, it's speedy, it's your typical murder mystery, and you just want to find out what happens. I don't think it's a really strong murder mystery, but I really enjoyed reading it, and I think it's better than most, so hence why it's more than a 3 stars for me, but it's also not my favorite. But I did really enjoy the experience of listening to it, so I do recommend it if you are a fan of Agatha Christie. If you are a fan of Agatha Christie, though, let me know what are some of your favorites by her, because I am looking to, read some more of her. I have N or M and 5 Little Pigs that I own in a paperback copy, and there are also a bunch at my library on audiobook, so if you mention them, I may get to them sooner rather than later if, you give me a recommendation. The next book that I'll be talking about is a short story collection that I received from review from NetGalley. It is called Starlings by Jo Walton. Now, Jo Walton prefaces this in her introduction. She's like, I'm not a short story writer. I suck at them. I've never read Jo Walton, but I really want to read Tooth and Claw by her. I'm still hunting down a copy. I've been trying to hunt down a copy of Tooth and Claw for 4 years now, and I have been unsuccessful. Bookstore wise, I can get it online, but it's just one of those books where I just want to physically pick it up and say I have found this. But Starlings, it has a really pretty cover of like these birds and the stars and the moon, and that's what drew me into requesting on NetGalley, not even realizing that it's a short story collection, which is kind of my jam. I really enjoy short story collections. However, I only give this one 3 stars. I'm not going to go through each individual story like I usually do for short story collections, because there are quite a few in this one, and I don't feel like this collection really is something worth reviewing in full, predominantly because Walton herself doesn't feel like she is a successful short storyist, and it definitely shines through more so in some stories than others. So I'll just tell you some of my favorites. My absolute favorite story is called On the Wall, and if you're gonna read any of her stories, find a way to hunt down On the Wall. It's about the magic mirror and Bluebell, who eventually becomes the evil queen in Snow White, and it is so cool. I love those kind of stories. I love dark, creepy, magical retellings, and this one had it was fun because it was from the perspective of the magic mirror, and I really liked the dichotomy that Walton presented with this intelligent object that isn't supposed to have feelings but longs to protect Bluebell, even though Bluebell is evil. It's so good. It's kind of genius. I also really enjoyed, that was the only one I gave 5 stars. I really enjoyed Joyful and Triumphant, Saint Zenobius and the Aliens. This one focused on the saints and angels but with aliens, and that was cool. I enjoyed Out of It, which follows an angel trying to win back the soul of a powerful man. It's kind of Screwtape lettery. I enjoyed What a Piece of Work. This one's about a supercomputer who eventually realizes that she's becoming a totalitarian computer that is trying to censor the public. Interesting stuff. That was a really strong story. I enjoyed that one a lot. Yeah, those are like the best ones. This is actually also a really Christian-centered short story collection. So, you know, if religion and, you know, religiosity aren't your jam, you may want to stray away from this one, just because the short stories do take on a lot of religious undertones. Like, there's a whole story about Joseph, Jesus' father, and then there's a whole story about people who are Jesus clones in the future. So, you know, like, just a preface, I mean, I'm Christian, so I like that stuff, but I know not everyone wants to read religious fiction. And the next story collection I read was The Stories of Edgar Allan Poe, the Manga Classics edition, edited and adapted by Stacey King, and a whole bunch of artists. Again, I will link my full-length review for this one down below. I received this as a ARC from NetGalley. I love Edgar Allan Poe. I actually got to read a bunch of his stories again in the fall semester last year, and it kind of just re-sparked my appreciation of Poe. I give this manga adaptation collection 4 stars. It's not bad. It was actually quite good. It includes The Telltale Heart, which is really interesting to see adapted. I gave that one 4.5 stars respectively with the illustrations. It was creepy, chilling, you know, scary. There's also The Cask of Amontillado, which is my personal favorite Poe story. So naturally I'm going to give it 5 stars. I love The Cask of Amontillado. It was my first Poe, and it will always be the best Poe for me. Just for me personally, but I love it. There's also The Raven, which is interesting to see a poem adapted into a manga style. There's one photo in there that's gorgeous. It really captured the essence of the Raven in a way that I wasn't expecting it to, and I was blown away. So I give that one 4.5 stars, and there's also The Mask of the Red Death in this collection, which I have never personally read. So I give this one 4.25 stars because I really like the art, but because I haven't read the physical text by itself, I feel like I was missing a lot, and it kind of hindered my experience. So yeah, I'm gonna preface that as that's probably a shortcoming on my part. And then the last in this collection, and my least favorite, is The Fall of the House of Usher. I really liked the short story for The Fall of the House of the Usher. However, within this collection, it does not work very well. Now, if you've read The Fall of the House of the Usher, you will know that it's extensively descriptive. Like, so much description. It's kind of what Poe is, like, relying heavily on with setting this atmospheric, horrifying atmosphere. But it doesn't translate well into a manga form. And it really was hard to read. Like, I hated reading it. I was like, I love this story, but I hate this format. And so, you know, overall, I'd give the collection 4 stars, which is pretty strong for a manga collection of short stories, because, you know, the last one I read was The Jungle Book, and that one didn't get a high rating from me. But, you know, it's Edgar Allan Poe, so I am slightly biased in this retrospect. And the last book that I'll talk about really quickly is a poetry collection that I also received from NetGalley for review called The Witch Doesn't Burn in This One by Amanda Lovelace. Amanda Lovelace is quite famous right now from the story poem collection called The Princess Saves Herself. And I give this one 3 stars. The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one has like a crucible feel, and it's really interesting. Like, I really liked a good majority of the poems in this one. And I'm new to Lovelace, so, you know, it's kind of weird. But I had quite a few issues with her diction choice. It seems slightly offensive, and in my review, which I'll link down below, you can go read it, because there are quite a few reasons why. I have them physically listed out. It rubbed me the wrong way. I'll just leave it at that. And you can go and read my thoughts on it and decide if, you know, it's something you want to pick up. I do recommend it. I'm in the minority of giving this one only 3 stars. Most people are giving it 4 and 5, but I think those are people who absolutely love Lovelace. But however, it may be your jam. So I wasn't disappointed by it. Out of this group, I'd say that The Stories of Edgar Allan Poe is my favorite. Have you read any of these books? Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know down below in the comments what you think, and I hope to see you later.